Welcome, everybody, to the Streakers Island podcast. It is I, Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst, and we are joined today with Mr. More for your money.
Woo!
So, Dan, I see you are dressed for success today. So, which team do you think is going to have success tonight trying to get the offense rolling? The Winnipeg Blue Bombers or the Calgary Stampeders?
Call me crazy. I think Calgary is going to be an upsetter tonight. I think I know they're the underdog by a big shot, but they haven't really got for offense going all year yet. And that team is too good to be shut out for this long of the season, I think.
I agree with you, actually. I think this Calgary offense had a rough game against Ottawa where they really, really struggled, only putting up 12 points, 5 turnovers. It just did not nearly good enough. And also, too, Vernon Adams Jr. is yet to throw a touchdown pass this season, which is crazy when you look. He's already thrown just under 900 yards in the first 3 games. So I think this is VA's time to shine, but it's going to be tough against this Blue Bombers defense. This defense, one of the best defenses in the CFL.
Oh, for sure. It's not going to be easy for them, but I don't know. I just got a gut feeling, that I would put my squeaker points on for the Calgary Stampeders.
However, what will be interesting today is Brady Oliveira is returning back to the lineup for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and that should help this team out a lot, right?
For sure.
Adding more of a running game will make a big difference. And I mean, I think I found Peterson's been doing a good job, but Brady Oliveira is last year's MOP, so obviously having him back into your lineup is going to add a lot more than when you don't have them. We've seen a lot of teams this year being able to win with injuries, and Winnipeg has been one of those groups. And same with Calgary; they're 2-1 without Bengleton. And as we all know, Bengleton's a huge part of that offense that's not there. So I'm expecting VA to continue to target Dominic Rhymes to really get this offense rolling because, yeah, they're 2-1. They're putting up points, but Dan, I don't know if you agree with me. I think their offense is still not quite firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think Winnipeg's just getting started. Some people saw the bye week at the first week of the season as an advantage. I think it's a disadvantage, to be honest with you, because you get out of preseason training camp, and you're all hyped up, you want to get going, and you lose all that momentum sitting around for a week, right? So I think we're seeing that with Winnipeg. So it should be I think it's going to be a high scoring game tonight because I think both offenses are going to get going, but both teams have very good defenses too. So it's not going to be easy.
This is also the first ever Stampede Bowl, which is kicking off the Calgary Stampede. So the winner of this game gets a cool Stampede trophy, which is, let's be honest, I think that's got to add a little more fire, especially to Calgary. And Dan, I know you mentioned Winnipeg's offense, but I personally think Winnipeg's offense has looked pretty good so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've looked pretty consistent. For me, it's more, and maybe you meant Calgary, but I think it's more Calgary that needs to find their offense.
Oh no, I'm not saying by any means Winnipeg is bad. I just think with getting Brady Oliveira in there, having Zach Collaros off his injury, even though Winnipeg hasn't looked bad, I don't think Winnipeg's offense is 100% quite yet. I think they're probably about 90%.
But the difference is, though, I mean, Zach Collaros is coming off last week of 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 14 consecutive completions. But I do agree with you. There was a stretch in the second half against Edmonton where Winnipeg's offense didn't quite click. However, when you have a defense that's only allowing 19 points per game,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter so much. Where Calgary's coming off the bye, which I think should help this Stampeders team after that last one. Yeah. I mean, we are seeing Calgary's identity is really a physical secondary, and I think they're going to want to get the run game a little more involved. You have Dedrick Mills, who's averaging 4.8 yards per carry.
Yeah,
has 4 touchdowns. So he's second in anchoring the second best rushing offense in the CFL. So as much as Vernon Adams Jr., I think, needs to get going a little bit more than he is, I also look at it and say maybe this is the chance for the run game of Calgary to be out there and almost pull what Winnipeg does to other teams. Just control the time of possession, try to get to an early lead, and then, potentially don't give your opponent as much time, because maybe you think I'm crazy. I think we're already seeing a potential Western Finals right here preview between Calgary and Winnipeg. I think these are, I mean,
Yeah.
Saskatchewan also
You're
is
forgetting about one important team, buddy. That's the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But they haven't lost the game for a reason. I think as much as Calgary, I gotta admit, coming into the season, I wasn't sold on Winnipeg, on Saskatchewan. I thought that Calgary was better, but watching them on the field now, I would say Saskatchewan is better than Calgary. And I think the finals is going to be Saskatchewan versus Winnipeg.
No, I mean, the only thing is, Dan, we still don't know about Trevor Harris, and with his health, that's always, no disrespect to Jake Maier.
Well, even though I'm not a
yes,
biggest
he got
Jake
the job done
Maier
last
fan,
week.
he looks good.
He looked okay. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still not Trevor Harris, right?
Whoa,
And
the guy carried him off the field.
At least we've actually been seeing tonight, we're actually going to see 2 starting quarterbacks, because we have not been seeing a lot of starting quarterbacks to start the year.
Correct.
So I'm curious too, who do you think has the advantage in the run game? Because, you know, pre-game notes I was kind of working on before we went on is both these teams have a pretty strong running game. Brady Oliveira is back, but will Brady Oliveira look the same? I mean, he's been off a couple weeks with that upper body injury. And you have Dedrick Mills, who's running pretty damn well.
I think we're looking at this all along. I think the running back comes to a running game. It's a team effort to really just think of the one running back. We look at the one running back, they can't pretty well cancel each other out. I know Barry Alvaro is the Moppy, the best player, blah, blah, blah. Mills is not that far behind. So I think I will come down to the offensive lines tonight. And whoever has the best offensive line tonight will there have the best running game and will have the best running back. That's what I think.
Well, and I think too, you know, I'm just out of curiosity, I was just looking up the weather and they are calling for light rain again. So that's why I'm thinking the running game could end up being a much bigger impact tonight. And
now, would you say?
But I wonder, is that advantage for Winnipeg because they like to run the ball more than pass the ball? As much as Zach Collaros, you know, he's no stranger to airing it out and putting up big numbers.
Well, see, I was kind of thinking the opposite. It might be an advantage to Calgary because they just played a waning game. I know they lost that game, but they got that much more experience as a team, as a unit, playing in the Wayne versus Winnipeg.
Now, it is only a 30% chance of rain tonight in Calgary. So, I mean, maybe we won't even see a lot of it, right? Like, and if it becomes sunny again, this might sound weird, we're talking weather, but the weather in football is very important to figure out how you're strategizing your game. They are under a severe thunderstorm watch. So if that field starts to get wet and gross, expect the running games to try to make more of an impact, which I think personally, I think overall Winnipeg has the advantage in the run game because you also look at Chris Streveler, who is their short yardage quarterback, who I think is one of the best in the league, right up there with Tommy Stevens. When it's 2nd and 3, you're confident to put out Chris Streveler out there to go get it. So we could be seeing a lot of those plays today.
Very, very true.
But another topic I think we should get into here is what can Calgary do to get Vernon Adams Jr. going a little bit more? I'm not saying his numbers are bad. He is averaging 268 yards a game. That's all fine and dandy. And the offense is scoring, but I do think you want to get VA this time last year was on pace for over 6,000 yards at BC, and that's not been the case in Calgary. So what do you need to do you think, Dan, to get Vernon Adams Jr. rolling a little bit more?
I think that's the $1 million question, right? I think maybe I know Calgary's got that one receiver that's really good that played with VA lines in the past, but maybe the receiver core in Calgary needs to get better. I know you can't necessarily make a trade or sign one right now, but maybe you got to get from playing better as a unit and playing with VA style. Because reason why VA was, as much as VA is an incredible quarterback, one reason why he was on pace to 6,000 yards was because of the amazing receiving core he had in BC, right? And in Calgary, he doesn't have that. Calgary, you can pretty well put Wimes in double, triple coverage, and you pretty well stop the play, right? So,
well, and that's the thing. They originally thought they were going to have Bengleton and Rhymes as their 1-2 punch. Now, Jalen Philpott is actually on pace for a career year. Like, he's really looked good.
Very underrated player.
I think to get VA going, I think Dickinson's got to stop thinking pocket passing so much and try to get Vernon Adams on the move. I find he's better when you have the offensive line roll with him, neither rolls to his right or rolls to his left, and then have like a go route and a cut route So you have either a short or a long play open. And, VA is a high-end quarterback, and let him make that decision.
100%.
Now, I would say, too, a big thing that I'm watching for, too, is can Calgary secondary slow down this Bombers receiving core? Because Wakefield has been playing really well. Dembski's been playing really well. And Dalton Schoen's been a little quiet, but I don't think he's going to be quiet for much longer. So this is going to be a huge test for the Calgary secondary that did a good job last game versus the Ottawa Red Blacks. But however, that was also with Dustin Crum quarterback and a bunch of rain. So it will be interesting to see here. I think this is a true test to see if Calgary's defense is better than last year's, right? Because that was a bit of an issue at times for them last year. They made some additions. I think you've got to blitz the hell out of Zach Collaros. So I want to see Flo really just get in there and get some pressure.
Yep.
And really test that Winnipeg offensive line. It's a good offensive line. I'm not denying that, but it's time to put it under some pressure and can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, of course, Lane could not join us on the air, but he joins us in the comment section. He is saying Winnipeg gets the dub tonight. I will say, if you're going back in the history books, Lane, they do say history is made by stupid people, but Winnipeg has won 10 of their last 13 versus Calgary. So, in their last 8, they're 7-1. So Calgary has really struggled against Winnipeg. I mean, everyone has struggled against Winnipeg except the East.
We'll see who gets the streaker points.
Who is going to get those streaker points? Make sure you download Streakers app if you haven't yet. But I am very curious to see how can Calgary adjust. And I think they just need to adjust by letting VA kind of ball out. VA has done very well against Winnipeg. Over his last 3 starts, he's thrown over 1,000 yards against this Bombers defense. So it's not like he can't do it. Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. The receiving core in Calgary is not what it was in BC. But at the same time, he's the third. I believe he's the either third or fourth highest paid quarterback in the CFL. So when you're being paid the big bucks, you got to make the big plays. That he is known as the big play VA.
Big play VA. I think he's going to get going. I really do.
So do I. I don't see Vernon Adams Jr. being this, slow all year. Yeah, doing it against Winnipeg, that's going to be that's going to be a tall task, right? But it's not the Grey Cup. It's not the Grey Cup song. Winnipeg will actually do good for a change. Shots fired, but no. I think they will do good today. I think Zach Collaros is better than Vernon Adams Jr. That's a tough call out there.
It's a tough question.
I think Vernon. I think if you're going pure quarterback abilities, I'm going to keep it a buck here, and I think Vernon Adams Jr. is a little better right now than Zach Collaros. However, I think Winnipeg has a slightly better offense as a whole between receivers, running backs, and offensive line. I think that is a bit better than Winnipeg. So it's going to be interesting there to see how this really balances out. But Lane, I do agree with you. It's going to be a good game tonight for the Jays. I mean, you have a chance to sweep the New York Yankees tonight. And if you can get that done and then now take not just tie the division, but whoever wins this takes the lead. The Jays are currently up 5-3 in the 5th. But I'm still going to say the exact same thing as I said in the pre-record, and I listened to that part back a little bit, and I still stand by it. What they're doing now is great, but they need to do this in September until I really...
No, I hear you, but you're not in September yet.
I understand we're not in September yet, but it's like no one cares what the Toronto Maple Leafs do in the start of the season or even in the first 2 rounds. They don't care until they get to the conference finals. For me, for the Blue Jays, I'm not too up on this team until they do it and they win a round. I think like this group has underperformed, and I need them to do more than what they've done. There's also some big news in the NHL quickly before I get back to the comment sections. That was Nikolai Ehlers did sign a 6-year deal worth $8.5 million with the Carolina Hurricanes. This just shows again how great of a deal the Sam Bennett was for Florida at $8 million. I mean, Florida's done a phenomenal job there, but I will say I think Ehlers could be a guy that maybe helps get Carolina over the hump.
$1 million question, Bo, and call me crazy. at the end of the day, is Ewers better for Nietzsche's?
Natchez, yes, I think he is.
I don't know.
But remember, Dan, they
I
also
guess they got
Stakeholder.
Stakeholder and they got Hall, they got the picks, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it
But at the
wasn't.
end of the day,
You got to move on from that. It's done now. It's like what I say about Mitch Marner. It's done now. You got to move on. We got to move on with your life.
yeah, for sure.
But back to the comments. Back to Mr. Lane Dashing Dashco. Zach Collaros has the better veteran game than Vernon Adams. He's still trying to find his game. I think the CFL is a little bit of an exact because the whole very good. I do agree with you, Lane. I think at times VA has been trying to kind of find his way. And unfortunately, I think he found it in BC. Mm-hmm. But BC just decided to go a different direction with Nathan Rourke. And so far, at least, it's too early to say if that decision is paid off or not. Only time will tell with the BC
Can we
Lions.
say at this point that Zach Collaros is a Hall of Fame quarterback? I would say so.
I would.
Yeah. Like VA, we're not quite there yet, but Zach Collaros, yeah, I think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, but VA, I think, still has a lot more runway left than Zach Collaros. Like Zach Collaros, I think's probably only got 2, maybe 3 more seasons tops. So I think VA still probably got 6 or 7, right?
Maybe 10, who knows?
But I am curious your thoughts, Mr. Moore, for your money. Are you who? I can't remember who you picked when we did the pre-record. So who are you picking for this one?
Oh, what do you mean with the game?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know we're talking free agency or what. I am going with Calgary for the win.
I will tell you your pick once I address the comment section. I just want your thoughts on this. So getting back to the Carolina Hurricanes, I was talking to my friends, and I think Ehlers is a good move, but at the end of the day, he's an all-star. Carolina needs a superstar.
Right.
I think it's a good move. So my big thing is, Lane, with that is I think Carolina went out and got the best player available, which was Nikolai Ehlers. It will be the question, is Nikolai Ehlers, with adding Logan Stankoven and Taylor Hall, good enough to get you over the hump? I think Carolina's bigger concern, actually, than getting a superstar is getting consistent goaltending. Carolina has not had consistent goaltending. But again, the good goalies that were available, they got scooped up pretty quick. And now there's teams like Carolina and especially the Edmonton Oilers who are kind of left with egg on their face because there's just nobody available now.
Well, what the problem is Nikolai Ehlers' situation's cute and everything. But in order to get Nikolai Ehlers, you lost half your defense. No one's talking about that. You lost
the other thing. You lost Brett Burns,
you lost Dmitry Orlov. You lost Brett Gleason, Brett Burns, and Dmitry Orlov. So
there's I could see Carolina be going to the trade market as they do have some draft picks and they have some prospects. They could be going to the trade market to look for a defenseman. I believe so. I'd have to look it up, and I don't have those numbers in front of me. But at the end of the day, though, back to CFL here, this is a huge game I would say this game's a really big game for both teams. If you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you want to keep pace with Saskatchewan Roughriders. If you're the Calgary Stampeders, you want to start to pull away from the Lions and the Elks. And it might sound weird saying pulling away this early. You look at the East, for example. If you look at the Eastern Conference, for example, no one can really pull away besides Montreal right now.
Right.
Because, Hamilton, Toronto, and Ottawa all took them multiple weeks to get their first win.
Correct.
Where you look at Calgary, you're 2-1. Edmonton hasn't won a game yet, and BC's only won 1. So if you can beat Winnipeg, and now then you'd be tied with Winnipeg for second in the West. I think this is a really big game for both of those teams. But Lane does not agree with me. You think they're missing a true superstar forward, but who's the true superstar forward in Florida? Yeah, they have Barkov, but is Barkov a McDavid? Reinhart, I would call an all-star, not a superstar.
I mean, yeah, 57 goals a couple of years back, right?
That's cute. So did David Pastrnak. Is he a superstar? No.
Yeah,
he's an all-star. He's not 60. A superstar. You cannot put David Pastrnak in the same conversation as Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. I think Carolina is on to something where they're building a deeper lineup versus a stacked lineup. Look at the teams that are doing well. They're not
half their defense.
Okay, well, there's still plenty of time to go on and make trades. Like, I think we're going to see a very the trade summer.
And I think it's kind of white, to be honest, that Carolina have the defense go because, I don't think scoring was really the problem in the playoffs. You maybe start pointing fingers at the defense, right? Like, and I agree with you, Jacob, on a forward level, you're better as a unit versus the one franchise player. I feel bad with Carolina because they're in a terrible situation, but their situation was not their fault whatsoever.
And mind you, for defense and free agency, you still have Matt Grzelcyk available.
I like him, yeah.
He's a really solid defenseman. I could maybe see them taking a chance on a guy like TJ Brody as well. Yep. I think you could get him pretty cheap. He could be a pretty good bottom six defenseman.
I know he had a bad year, but last year he was in Chicago. So.
But he was also in Chicago. And for goaltending, I think maybe Carolina picks up a guy like James Reimer to be your to be your third string, just as a nice insurance policy.
I swear Reimer was in Carolina at one point already.
He was.
Oh, okay. So I'm not crazy.
But now I will give you my pick for this game because it is already almost 9:00. Time flies when you're having fun here on the island. That's right. I would love to make things entertaining and tell Dan that he's wrong and put up a graphic saying Dan is wrong. It's one of my favorite things to do. However, I'm taking the Calgary Stampeders, but I don't fully agree with Dan. I'm expecting more of a lower to mid scoring game with this one. I think both of these defenses have been playing really well, especially Calgary's defense in the red zone is towards the top in the Canadian Football League right now. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to see more field goals than touchdowns tonight, and that'll make a big difference in this, right? So
will we get a rouge?
See some rouges because we may see it. No, I honestly think Winnipeg is going to get close enough that they're going to have their Castillo's going to be able to kick in some chip shots. I know of Calgary's defense, they're very good in the red zone. But this really is going to come down to what's going to work better. The balanced offense between Oliveira and Collaros or Calgary's big playability. Because even again, the game against Ottawa, when Calgary did move the ball down the field, it was a big play that flipped the field. And that's something the Calgary Stampeders are very good at. And I'm not saying Winnipeg can't do that. Winnipeg has been flipping the field this season, truthfully, a little more than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
But Winnipeg still is a RPO rollout type offense with leaning on the running game. Yeah, Zach Collaros is one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the CFL. Like, you can make that argument. But I still think this team goes as far as the offensive line and the running game takes it on a consistent basis. So I really do think this is going to come down between balanced offense versus big plays that flip the field.
Right. Makes sense.
Not saying it's going to be easy to make big plays against this Winnipeg defense because, well, it's not, right? Like, it's not an easy thing to do, but it's something that will need to be done if you're Winnipeg, if you want to improve to 4-0 and you don't want Calgary tying you for second in the West.
Right, exactly.
Right, because I mean, Winnipeg, you know what? They've been dominating the West the last few years, and Saskatchewan always starts off really well and falters off. But if
that's Winnipeg, because of injuries usually, and Travis Harris is injured again, so we'll see. But I got Jake Maier this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
Jake Maier looks like a different quarterback out there last game.
He did, right? And Jake Maier played very well last game. He did exactly what he needed to do. But this is a big week for Winnipeg because Saskatchewan does have the bye. So this gives you a chance to get a jump on the Rough Riders.
It does.
And again, for Calgary, it gives you a chance because let's be honest, the Lions will have a tough time against the Alouettes on Saturday. However, Davis Alexander, actually, as much as we thought when we did our pre-record, he was going to play this weekend, he is not playing on Saturday. They'll be going back to McLeod Bethel Thompson.
And who's Montreal playing again?
The BC Lions.
Oh, it could be interesting.
So what I'm saying is, too, for Calgary as well, you're looking like that. I think, again, I could be wrong, but from what I'm hearing, Nathan Rourke will be starting that game against the Montreal Alouettes. So if you're Calgary, you don't want to drop down the 2-2 and then have BC go against a banged up Alouettes team and come away with a victory.
Right.
Exactly. So, and I know, Lane, by the way, you are not the only person who's messaged me saying that they feel the BC Lions are the worst team in the CFL. So
I think
this
they
is a
are
big
too.
one. And then just the other games going on before we wrap it up here are the Hamilton Tiger Cats versus the Toronto Argonauts and the Ottawa Red Blacks versus the Edmonton Elks, which I would say all these games are big games for these teams. Whoever wins Toronto versus Hamilton will be second in the East.
I just want to point out too to our listeners, there'll be a big game in our social medias as Jacob and I will be at the Ticats, Argos and Ticats game on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday, I will be at the Blue Jay game. And Sunday, I believe Jacob's coming with me to the Blue Jay game. So
aren't you bringing someone who likes to comment and who's very dashing?
No.
Well, that's okay. But but I mean, either way, it's going to be a very, very busy weekend here on the island. And just to quickly wrap things up too, the Elks versus the Red Blacks on Sunday. That's a big game. The Elks are looking for their first win. The Red Blacks really don't want to go on a 2-game losing streak, knowing that either the Argonauts or the Ticats are going to win. Well, I guess it could be a tie theoretically, but it's very unlikely. One of those teams will most likely win that game. So Ottawa doesn't want to fall too far behind, and neither does Edmonton. And Edmonton could be licking their lips at a potential crossover spot.
Yeah. Wow. Pretty cool.
But it is 9:00 now, so we are going to have our chicken strips and watch some Canadian football because there's nothing.
I gotta change my shirt for chicken strips. I will be in a different outfit tonight.
No, that is Dan's chicken strip eating outfit. And just as a heads up for all you Blue Jay fans, the Toronto Blue Jays are now up 6-3 in the bottom of the
fifth. Boy.
So
get
I mean, hey, they all. Okay, I wouldn't be getting too excited yet. They almost blew an 8-0 lead yesterday.
Oh, calm down.
Now, Bassett has pitched through 5 innings so far, allowing 8 hits, but only 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. So, I mean,
he's on fire.
He's having a nice game. And just as another note, Bo Bichette is still not in the lineup. So take that as you will.
This kind of hurts his contract negotiations.
But thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I'm the self-proclaimed sports analyst, Jacob Moore, joined by Dan Moore, Mr. Moore for your money.
Woo!
I believe we will be back for a post-game show, but just stay on the social medias, and I'll keep you locked in on what's going on there. But we should be back for a post-game show. See you in a bit, boys and girls.